Hey guys, welcome back. That's my best friend Janelle.
And that's my best friend Shenielle.
And today we are going to be discussing something very deep. And I was right when I said disgusting, because that's exactly what it is. We're doing a reaction video to When They See Us. If you have not seen that series on Netflix, the docu-series, I recommend that you do. Every race of person. It doesn't matter. I'm not talking to black people. I'm not talking to white people. I'm talking to people in general.
Every age, every generation. I know last time I spoke to my brother was like, well, I started watching it, but it got boring and I turned it off. I literally looked at him dead in his face and said, watch it. Power through if you think it's boring. Also, remember that this is a true story, guys.
Yeah, like very, very true story.
I don't think that he knew that it was a true story, and I don't think that he knew the background story to it. Because this is something that was happening when we were born.
Yeah.
So I recommend for the younger generation, especially, to watch this series. It's very important. It's a very important topic. Subject, everything to stay abreast on, and to know, what happened and what's going on.
It was really deep. My first understanding of it, Janelle was in law school and they presented it to her in a case. And, like a lot of things, Janelle came home and discussed it with me. And, even in her telling me, I was sick to my stomach and I wanted to vomit. And that was years ago. And so now fast forward years later, they're making a docu-series about it. And she was like, remember the Central Park 5 boys I told you about? And I was like, yeah. She's like, they made a docu-series. You need to check it out. And I was very apprehensive at first because I was just like, her just telling me out of her own mouth made me literally sick to my stomach.
She was driving me crazy. Like every day I'm like, did you watch it yet? Did you start it yet?
And I'm like,
and she's like, no. And I'm like, girl, if you don't watch it, like I'm gonna come through this phone. Like, so I'm very serious about this. Yes. Like, it sounds like a joke, but everyone needs to see this. Everybody needs to watch this.
My husband was on Netflix and he just came to me and was just like, I think he got past episode 2, and I mean, this man was so mad. He was so upset. He was like, Shenielle, there's a series and what he did to these boys and XYZ. And I mean, I couldn't make it past episode 2 because I'm literally bawling. My husband, he said he was crying at what happened. And he was like, you need to watch it. And I was like, that's the series Janelle's been telling me about. But, and just to see his reaction, like, I knew I had to build myself up to it. I'm a very empathetic person as well as a very emotional person. So I knew that it was going to take a lot out of me to watch it, which we did. We actually recorded some of our reaction to the, my reaction to the docu-series. And I mean, from beginning to end, just bawling my eyes out because I not only see it as a child from the age that they were, not only as a black person, but as a mother, as a parent. And so I transcended through the series, just constantly looking from different point of views, and it took so much out of me, and it still does, even discussing it. But I feel like it is very imperative that we do, because y'all need to watch this video, this docu-series. This is truth. This is reality. It's When They See Us.
I watched it like 3 times, including the Oprah show after.
Yes.
And I just I was crying every single time. Every single time I couldn't get through it without tears. And it hurt me. It hurt my chest every time, I saw it, and every time I thought about like what they could have been doing differently. What they didn't know. And I look at this with a different brain because I am a lawyer. I took legal classes from undergrad go up. And when I was an undergrad, I took legal psychology. And I think that's super important as well, because people don't understand what it does to someone who's under those circumstances of, you know, being in a police precinct, being in an interrogation room, being, you know, without the comfort, without the knowledge, without, you know, anything really. You're unarmed. And society teaches us to trust police. You know, a lot of comments that came from watching it, people were like, well, how could they actually believe that they were going to go home after that? You'd be surprised. You know, when you get into that situation and you are uneducated and you don't know any better, you know, you haven't even went to college. Maybe you're working 2 and 3 jobs. Like, you don't have experience with this kind of stuff. And
other than the fact that the police are good, they
help you.
Yeah, they have your back. So if you hear out of their mouth, say these things, do these things, you're gonna go home. But why wouldn't I believe you? Why wouldn't I trust your word?
I mean, we're taught from a young age, you know, you need help, you need anything, call the police. Police are your friends, the police this, the police that. And, you know, in situations like this, when you actually come into contact with a police officer, it can be a different story. And you don't know what to expect. You don't know, you know, what's going to happen next. You don't, you know, I feel like even hearing the Miranda statement, like, anything you say can and will be used against you.
They didn't even read them their Miranda rights, did they?
I mean, I think that's what they were trying to get them to waive on the cards and stuff. But at this point, I don't think Miranda rights matter as much. But just going back to the statement, I feel like in a situation like this, it's a high stress situation. You're completely thrown out of your comfort zone. You have, you know, cops swarming all around you, and you don't know exactly, you know, what to do, what to say. There have been so many people that have been innocent that will say what, you know, they think somebody wants to hear, to get out of the situation. And even hearing the Miranda rights or the statement that they give you, like, to me, I feel like if you're in a situation like that, those kind of things are going through one ear and out the other. Like, you don't even know what that means. They're just words strung together.
Yeah, that's true. All you think is, I'm in this place, locked up, police are down my throat. I was just here one moment, and now you guys are keeping me literally locked up in a room, screaming, shouting, hitting, beating at us.
And I mean, even when you're not being abused, even, you know, in situations where it's fairly a calm environment, you can still be very confused and very, like, you can still be in a situation where, like, all that's in your head is, I just want to go home, I just need to make this happen. You know, giving warnings, it's a great thing to say, but if you don't have somebody there for you or with you that knows your rights, that can help you, you're naturally going to look to the police and say, okay, they're here to help, and this is what they're saying, so let me just go along with this.
I definitely think that Kevin's story depicted very well a young boy. I don't want to give too much of it because we really and truly want you to go and watch it.
No, this is a reaction video. They should have watched it already.
Okay. Well, when the sister comes and she comes to the precinct and they're telling her, just sign it. He said this. And she's like, no, wait, I need a lawyer. And as an older sibling, and you see your younger sibling sit here and just crying out, please, I just want to go home. I just want to be with you. That is deep.
Yeah. I'm tearing up already right now because when I saw that for the first time, I thought about if it were me in that situation with my little brother.
Yeah.
And I didn't know any better and I wasn't educated and I hadn't gone to law school and I hadn't gone to school, period. Like, seeing him like that would have made me want to just do it.
Like, which is what she did.
I want you home. We can figure this out later. Like, I'll do anything that I need to do for you.
Yeah.
There was just so much about this that was just hard to take in. And like I said, you know, a lot of blame went on the parents and the people surrounding these boys. But like I said, when you don't know any better, it's not your fault. It's not your fault at all. Somebody who I really empathize with, and I think not a lot of people did empathize with him, was Antron's father. I really seriously felt it for him. And I mean, if these were his genuine feelings, because I don't think that we do know, because he did pass away, right? We're only hearing what the actors were able to get out of Antron's mom and out of Antron, right? But if these were his true feelings and if these were his real intentions, I can completely understand where he was coming from and how difficult it would have been for him to be there for his son, who he feels so guilty about basically putting a nail in his coffin. Like, how do you as a father sit there and try to even look at your son, even look at your family after that point, after you really thought that you were doing well for him? You really thought that, okay, all right, whatever they want to hear, cool, I just need to take him home. I just need to make sure that he's okay. And you eventually realize, like, it's because of you why he's in this situation. And had he stuck to his guns and kept saying the truth and not, you know, giving in, he would have been okay. How do you deal with something like that, internally and externally? How do you deal with that with your family, but how do you deal with that with yourself as a father, as a head of the household with a child?
And not only that, but now the reason why he did it, the tactics that the police used, you know, your job is on the line. Oh, you've been working here for 5 years? You got a really good job, you taking care of your family? Well, it's all going to go away. If you don't get your boy to say XYZ, I'm going to get them on a phone call. Like, those type of tactics to use. I mean, and this is why we want to share this video, because we want to encourage those that if God forbid, if you ever were to get into a situation like that, you don't crumble, but you stand strong. It doesn't matter about your job and if you're going to be able to. Those come a dime and a dozen. It may be
not after you go to prison, not after you go to jail.
That's
true.
So,
you know, if you have a chance to stay out, but you're going to have to get a new job, I promise you it's better than going to jail and trying to find a job when you get out.
But it was the tactics in which that they used. So
yeah, they preyed on that man. They preyed on him as a father.
That's so sickening. I had shared this just like I'm encouraging, just like we are encouraging all of you guys to go out and watch this if you have not. But I did tell some of my coworkers, black, white, Asian, people, purple, pink. I told everybody, you need to watch this. And it invoked a discussion because they did. They started watching episode 1. They came back to work and they were like, oh my goodness. And it was really something to hear from other people. Granted, black people, their most consensus was, you know, this is crazy, but this is how they really do see us. We need to get smarter. We need to understand. We need to get educated. That was most of the tone. And granted, there were some people that were angry. A lot of people were angry. I mean, I was still angry, but we have wisdom and knowledge. So it's rather than to channel that into anger and to hate our fellow brothers and sisters, let's channel this into making us right. I want you to be aware this is happening to people whom you don't even know.
I think that's part of the problem, is that it's happening to people that people don't know.
Exactly.
So in your life, when it's not happening to you and it's not happening to people that you know, you think that it's never happening, and that's completely false.
Exactly.
You know, I always tell people, don't doubt people's stories, because just because it's not happening to you or it's never happened to you doesn't mean that it doesn't happen or it's never happened at all.
But that Linda Fairstein is her name. Can you imagine if she did this to randomly picking 5 young boys and pinning this on them? How many more other people did she get locked up on fake stories? Like, I feel like with this happening, with them being exonerated, they need to open up every single one of her cases that she has dealt with and been on and relook at them. Because I know that there are still people locked up today that didn't do the crimes in which that they were pinned down to. You know, you should have stirred with me today about this man.
Yeah. I mean, it's seriously very prevalent. Like, it's not something that it's a one-off, and I keep trying to emphasize this to a lot of people. Like, this is not something that, like, oh, that happened one time. That happened, you know, just a couple times, and it was, you know, all, like, in one state in the U.S., and then there was another state, and that was the end of that. Like, this happens regularly. This happens on a daily basis.
Yes.
You know, these aren't things, just because there is no media coverage on it, or, you know, people that you know don't go through it, this isn't something that just never happens.
No.
I mean, I feel like everyone who watched the show completely broke down.
Yeah.
While they're watching, it's episode 4, right?
Yeah.
Episode 4. And I mean, I think it's been said over and over again that actor, he did an amazing job.
I mean,
and I'm so glad that they actually, Ava did, she was phenomenal with this.
Oh my gosh.
Like, she had a vision, and she did it. And, but I do think that it was just amazing that she made him play both child and adult Corey. I don't think, I don't know, I haven't seen something like that in anything that I've watched, and it was just an amazing performance. But I really hope that it doesn't get lost on the audience, that it's not just a performance. Like, this was real. And, you know, just from hearing stories and knowing what goes on in prisons, and especially Rikers Island, which is, you know, one of the most violent prisons in the United States, I can imagine what else happened to Corey in there that wasn't on air and wasn't, you know, it wasn't able to be shown. That just made me, like, I cried. Even just the little quirks in his personality that was just like, you know, when he told the officer, like, I like it when you call me kid, I just was like, Jesus Christ, like, because you can tell that everything that happened to him before a child, like, that's who he was when he went in. He doesn't know anything different, you know, like, he is a kid. He's still a kid. At the end of the day, he's still that 16-year-old that, you know, did have a learning disability, and, you know, was just trying to be a kid and, you know, have fun and have his little girlfriend. And
not even that, but to be a true friend. I'm going to go to the station to be there with you. They don't want me. They don't want me at all. But I'm going to be there for you. And how they just took this young man. They beat him. They just did so much things.
Stabbed him.
I mean,
almost killed him.
Just, I don't even want to say anything, because if I open my mouth anymore, I'm just gonna bawl. Because not only that, but all he showed throughout the whole time was, I just want love. I just want love. He kept asking to be transferred to be closer to his mother, because he just wanted to see his mom more. He just wanted her to come see him. But you want to know what? It's God that took him through. In the end, it's the Lord that exonerated all these young men, and I pray that he does with everybody else that's being wrongfully accused in these prisons. But I also want us as a nation to rise up and to get some justice, not just for them, but for all of those that are being locked up unlawfully in prison. I'm pretty sure that we could open up, just like how this case was, no DNA evidence matched any of these young men. That should have been a case right there. Y'all should have never even been in the courtroom.
I was very disappointed in the legal staff that handled this case, and not just Linda Fairstein. I was very disappointed in the prosecutor, because she knew it. Yeah. She knew it, and she took it to Linda, and she said, like, what are we really doing? And, you know, the pressure of having, you know, the country's eyes on you and New York's eyes on you, that shouldn't make a difference in why you do the things that you do and why you do your job on a daily basis. Like, your job is to actually look for people who are guilty of crimes and who did break the law. And if you know that that's not the case, why would you pursue that? Why? I would have been quick to have, you know, some kind of meeting in chambers and be like, look, we messed up. Like, this is not going anywhere. Like, I'm not doing this to these children.
And children. Exactly. That is the word right there. These were children. These are someone's babies. They had years to grow up and to go to school and to make something of themselves, but because you felt like these are thugs, these are animals, these are black people, no good, we're gonna lock them up.
The part that I think she's caught up on, Linda Fairstein, was that they were in the park when all of these other things were going on, and this one was quote unquote assaulted, and this one got beat up, and so I understand why you would look to them to begin with if you're seeing like, okay, all of these things are happening in the park and they were in the park, like, are they suspects? Like, are they people that actually did these things? But I just feel like once you realize that they're not, or there's not enough evidence here, how can you live with yourself after that? How do you just keep gunning and keep saying like, we'll make it stick and we'll make it work and we'll make, like, if you have to make it work and if you have to convince yourself that you're doing the right thing, you're not. And she kept mentioning, the woman who got raped, and like, I mean, we're women.
Yes.
We know what that's like.
Okay.
We know, like, we get that.
Yes.
But if you have to sacrifice one person for somebody else's situation, like, that doesn't make it doesn't make it better to me. That's not justice, and that doesn't make any sense to me. Like,
not at all.
I get that you're looking for justice for her, but sinking somebody else for it that's wrong.
That's kind of the tone that has been going on, and I really hope and pray that we as a nation wake up and we do better. Like, literally do better, because you can.
So, also another storyline that really got to me was Antron. And I don't think that it fully, like, got to me until I watched the Oprah special. And I really saw him. And the hurt that he has been through. And it was when I watched that Oprah special, like, my chest hurt me. Like, that's how bad I felt for him when he started crying. I was crying, like I said, the entire time they were talking. But in seeing the way that he spoke and the anger that he still has in him, Jesus, I didn't know what to do with myself. I bawled. And it's just one of those things, like, you realize what matters to certain people, and every person is different, and things matter differently to certain people. Definitely. But the fact that his mother got taken away from him basically for his entire life because he was in prison, and then he lost all of those years with her, only to come out and after a little while she passes away. I can see how something like that could drive you crazy, and he can never get that back. He can never get back those years that he lost with her. He can never get his mother back. I know that he's going through a lot, and he said it on the Oprah special that his wife begs him to get therapy, and I just feel very sad for the entire situation and for all of what he has going on inside of him, because I feel like we've all kind of had those moments where, like, we felt like there was nothing that could be done. And we just kind of fell into our depression and fell into, being victimized. And as much as he might say, like, I'm not a victim, like, you make yourself a victim when you just feel defeated. And I feel like for him, he's kind of just like, well, I work out and I do this and I do that. And, I try to keep my mind off of it. But doing that isn't actually working through your problems. And so you do still stay in that state of being a victim, whether you want to or not, whether you acknowledge it or not, because it still has that hold on you, and it still, makes your reactions what they are, if that makes sense. One thing that really stood out to me, and I kept saying it over and over, is whenever I heard him speak and, I saw him on this special, he's so mannerly. Yeah. And I just feel like somebody in that position who went through that and who should be so angry, I don't know how I would react to people after that. I don't know how I would treat people after that. I feel like it's something that you go through and it just breaks you. And so for him to come out and still have that anger sitting on him, and for him to still feel the way that he feels, and yet still speak to people in, such a mannerly way. yes ma'am, no ma'am. You know, like, just his demeanor just impressed the hell out of me, and I think that just made me feel for him even more. Like, he's still trying to rise above it, but I really do wish he would see somebody. I really do.
All of them. Yusuf, Kevin, Raymond, Antron, and Corey. Their story is such a moving one. It's a very deep one, and it's one that we all need to hear. I tell everybody, it's like an Emmett Till. You need to see it. You need to understand what happened, what went on, and literally how they see us, how they want to treat us. And my whole thing is that I feel like we need to change the tone. We need to change it, but we can't do it on our own. We can't do it fighting, but we have to do it with love, and let us overcome this.
So I also had one last character, I guess, reaction, and that was to Yusuf's mom.
Ooh.
You know, I tried really hard not to judge her throughout this story being told. She reminded me a lot of my dad, because my dad would have been that person. My dad would have been very, like, you look out for you. You need to get through this. Like, I'm your parents. Like, I don't care about none of these kids. I don't care what goes on with them. Like, it's about you and getting you out of this situation and being there for you. That's all. That's exactly like my dad. And I've been in situations with him like that before, where he's just like, screw them kids, screw that other person. And I'm not that person. Like, I'm not like that. So it has literally been power struggles between me and my dad before, where I would be like, no, I can't do that. No, I'm not going to do that to that person. But I also had to understand, like, as a parent, she felt like she was doing the right thing. And you can't take that away from her. Like, she needs to look out for her baby. And so I understand where she was coming from, but it hurt me. It hurt me like hell to see that Corey wasn't doing anything but trying to be there for her baby. And the way that she treated him, just so nonchalantly, that
even more.
That was so hurtful to me. It wasn't funny. And I'm so glad that Yusuf and Corey could actually keep a relationship and, you know, still be friends. And Corey is the person who he is, with the heart that he has. Because I don't know anybody else in that situation, and I don't know anybody that could be in that situation who would still come out of it and still want to be cool with somebody, who just kind of dismissed him like that.
I mean, the reason that he was even there,
right?
Period. Not even just a dismissing.
No, what I mean is after he got locked up,
yeah.
Like, after, you know, even just like, oh, can you have him write? Like, and granted, I get it. Yusuf was a child. You know, you can't knock him for that either, because he's just listening to his parents the same way as any child would in that situation, because they don't know what to do.
Me personally, I don't even think that mom told him. Mom didn't tell him.
No, she didn't tell him as far as the story goes, but also him just as a person in general who was friends with this person. Like, that would have been one of the first things, you know, he did mention it, like, hey, how's Corey? You know, he's been on my mind a lot. But just, like I said, everybody's different, and he was a child, and you can't really judge him for that. I know that I've always been a very strong person, a very strong-willed person, and if I wanted something to happen, it was going to happen. So it wasn't going to be a situation where I said, hey, I'm thinking about him, and my parent was just going to say, like, okay, well, you focus on yourself, like, that's fine. You know, don't worry about that, XYZ. Like, I would have been
okay,
like, no.
I can't help. I can't get it through to you.
Yeah.
So who's next?
Exactly.
Who's
like,
next?
how am I going to make this happen? Because it's happening with or without you. Like, that's my friend. And he proved that to me over 10 times over.
Yes.
A million times over.
Like, I mean, we literally sitting in jail together, not together. Like, you are the true homie. You know, but I do understand legally why they could not have found him writing letters to one another. But like the mom said,
you know, it didn't even have to be letters, in my opinion. It really didn't. Like, he could have sent messages back and forth, like, oh, you know, tell him I said XYZ. You know, give him a little memento. Give him, you know, give him this little trinket. He'll know what it means. You know, little things like that gets you through. When you realize that people are thinking about you, when you know, you have something else to think about and add to a memory of somebody, I feel like that would have done a hell of a lot for him. And like I said, I was just very disappointed in it. I can't judge. I can't, because I understand the motivations behind it, but it really was disappointing, and I was very sad for just all of them, but Corey, God no, he broke my heart.
Seriously. I do have a question for the Exonerated 5, hoping that y'all get to see this video. What did you guys do to continue to carry on? Like, say for instance, Corey being locked up years in solitary. Like, what? I do understand that they depicted the memories.
There was a couple of them that actually did answer that question on the Oprah special. I know Yusuf said meditation, and Antoine said working out.
Yeah.
But I don't think that the rest of them answered.
No, exactly. And I definitely didn't hear Corey's. And I have a personal connection with Corey's character because we share the same zodiac sign. I knew she would do that. But, you know,
I had to look him up, though. I had to figure out, like, when's his birthday? What's his sign? Like, how was he dealing with all this? Like, what was, you know, going on mentally? Like, how was he able to survive this?
Yeah.
And what I will say is that Leos are very strong. They're very strong individuals. They're very motivated by right and wrong and, you know, justice. So I can see how he got himself into that situation by trying to be that friend, because, you know, right and wrong. You know, I'm gonna do it no matter what, as long as it's right. And I think that was a bad choice of words too. It's not that he got himself into that situation, but just he did the things that he did.
I would love to hear from himself. You know, like, I know they depicted in the movie, in the docu-series, that, you know, holding on to memories, and that's something that I actually shared with a friend of mine yesterday. Like, people can buy me things. Those are the things I really cherish. I cherish memories and moments. Those are the things that get me going. Those are the things that when you see me, I just sit here and start giggling and laughing to myself. It's not like, oh, this person bought me this. It's like, yo, Janelle did this and her face looked like that. And I hold on to these things. So I understand, maybe I'm answering it for myself, you know, that is probably what did keep him going. But that's a very hard one.
And I'm really glad that Ava did it the way that she did. I mean, I know that they commented on it as well, but I'm glad that they, you know, were able to tell the stories, but also really hone in on Corey's story.
Yeah.
We needed that, and we needed to see that. So bravo to all of the actors, actresses.
Y'all did phenomenal.
And Ava. Y'all did the thing, whatever the thing was. Y'all did it. And just a note that I wanted to make about the correction officer that was really kind to Corey. That Chia Pet thing just made me, like, it made my heart warm. You know, I don't really do law enforcement. I don't do military officials. I don't do any kind of
people who feel that they are
any of that. I'm not great with that. I don't do that. I stay away from people in those professions, in those careers, in those life paths. But I was so happy and so glad to see that somebody, even if you don't see it very often, somebody was there and being that little angel in his life, because I just feel like, how would he have gotten through all of those years without having at least one person in there with him, you know, being nice to him and being there for him. I wish that there would have been more. I wish that law enforcement, you know, weren't the way that they are. I wish that people in these fields didn't take their jobs as power trips and didn't act the way that they act with us. And I've experienced it firsthand. So when I say act the way that they act with us, I mean it. I wish he had more, but I do want to commend that person, and I wish that they had found him. I wish they had brought him on the show, like on the special, because he definitely deserved that shout out for being there and for going above his job description.
Being able to have discernment, you know,
and just sympathy and empathy, and that human connection with another person. I feel like a lot of that, what has been taken away from society, is their empathy factor.
Oh my gosh.
When it comes to people who have committed crimes, people just look at it like, oh, well, they're criminals. Like, that's the end of that. Like, no, they're still people. They're people that did something wrong. And we all have done something wrong throughout our lives. I know I have. And I could have easily been in that situation where I ended up in jail or in prison for something that I did wrong. And, the fact that people try to dehumanize people who have done something wrong, or who have, been on that life path and haven't had the guidance and haven't had people in their lives to steer them in the right direction, and, haven't come to that point in their lives where they decide, like, enough is enough. I need to, do better. I need to get out of this, community, this mindset, this, because there are a lot of people out there like that who get caught up when they're young and do stupid stuff. And I know that every single one of us have been young and stupid. And yet all you hear about it is, well, they're criminals, they're felons, they're convicts. There's so much more than that. They still are humans. They're still people. And making a mistake doesn't make you any less of a human.
And not only that, but how do you guys feel now that these are exonerated men versus criminal of the law, felons of the law, unquote? Like, what is it, especially those that went through it, who knew about the case during that time frame, went through it day in and out, hearing the case. The way it seemed to me, it was like almost like an O.J. Simpson type, where it was like all over the TV. People wanted to know every day.
Yeah, especially in New York. I mean, one of the actors said it in the Oprah special. Yeah,
like how he was. But I want to hear from my subscribers. These, you guys just coming in on the videos. How do you feel like seeing that initially it was a stake in the coffin? You feel me? And now years down the line, how many years was it? 15 years?
I mean, it varied for all of them.
Yeah, 13 to 15 years between them all. That these men didn't do anything. They didn't do it. They didn't do the crime, but they did the time. And not only that, but what happens to those that are the ones that placed them there? Do they get to replace them and be in that seat? Do they get to go into jail now? And since they made this man and these children lose so much time of their life, what happens? Money can't buy your happiness.
I keep asking that, there's always the civil suit that follows situations like this. You come out of prison and they decide, like, okay, well, you deserve to have some kind of restitution. And that's wonderful. That's great. But as you just said, money can't buy back all the years that you missed out on in life. Money can't buy back all the years that you missed out on with your family. Money can't buy back all of the years that you missed out on potentially getting a great education at a great institution. Finding a career, having a family early on in life, and living that actual life. And so I always wonder, like, all right, we heard about the suit and they got money from it, but what about the people who put them there? Are there going to be criminal charges? Are they going to get jail time? Is there any kind of justice in that sense where you can tell these people, like, you definitely did something wrong? You brought this on this person and you deserve that restitution and you deserve that justice now for the injustice that you caused. I haven't heard anything like that in any of these cases that you hear about. So I'm just wondering.
Yeah. And we'd love to see some change in that area as well.
Make law enforcement think twice about doing these corrupt practices and planting things on people and,
Yeah. Go watch the docu-series if you have not seriously, go watch that docu-series. Like, do not continue to stay asleep. It's time for your eyes to be awoken and see what's happening around us. And not just in your own vicinity, in your own family, but to your fellow brothers and sisters who are out there. Because, God forbid, it could be you and your family next. You need to understand what's going on. You need to see what's happening. And we need to invoke change.
You know, something else that I always come across are people who argue about these topics, but they don't actually put themselves out there and get involved. I would encourage any one of you who actually has, you know, the means and the time to put effort into it, to be one of those people who volunteers at prisons. Be one of those people who volunteers with juvenile prisons or jails. Because I feel like once you see up close and personal the things that are happening, and see these people up close and personal, these human beings up close and personal, and hear their stories and see where they're coming from and their backgrounds, it's difficult to argue that there's nothing wrong with the justice system. Yeah. I feel like you can only argue that if you're uneducated. And so when people do look and say, you know, there's nothing wrong, and you know, they arrest, you know, Black people just as much as they arrest other races, and you know, there's nothing wrong in these communities, and you know, that's a one-off and that doesn't happen. And whenever I hear things like that and people don't think that there's a problem, I just automatically know that you're not educated because you're not in the trenches. You're not doing the work that you should be doing to find out, and you're not willing to actually put your time into seeing if there is a problem and helping with it. And you can't speak on it if you haven't.
Exactly.
So I don't argue with people like you. I will just smile and nod at you because you love to talk, but you don't actually get out there and put your foot into it. Just one more thing about the show that I really enjoyed seeing was seeing the woman in Kevin's life just kind of surround him and lift him up.
Oh, yes.
That was so symbolic to me, just because that truly is life. That truly is a Black man's life. You know, when families are done being ripped apart and you have fathers that either, you know, run off or are in jail or, you know, just living a life that they shouldn't be living or are forced into living, what you have at home are the women to raise these Black men. And so to me, that just like said so much without saying anything. Just seeing how all of these women came together to be there for him, for this young Black man, and seeing how he came out of jail, still being the person that he was and being raised right. That was everything to me.
Yeah. It definitely hit on a lot of
true life, real life, situations and scenarios, just everything about Black life. Anyway, I think we've said a lot.
Yes, we have.
But it invoked a lot of conversation, and these conversations have taken place over the past how many weeks now. And so we felt like we needed to get it out and share it with you guys.
And I also encourage you guys not only to watch it, but to make a change. Like, you guys have to first make a change within ourselves if we want to see the world change. We can't keep talking about it and not doing anything. And now I know sometimes it may be hard to move from gossiping and chatting about it and actually becoming a doer, but it's what we need to do.
So yeah, guys, leave us a comment. Let us know if you watched it and what your thoughts were. Let us know what you think about our reactions. I think we did a lot of talking just because I feel like if we touch down on one specific topic here, we'd just be blubbering and you know, bawling down the video. So I just wanted to jump around and, you know, throw some huge pointers out. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the reaction. I hope you enjoyed the show because it really was amazing.
Yes.
I look forward to seeing how many awards that they win for this because it's coming. And yeah, I'm just glad that this story was able to be told how many years after, and that these men are still living that these men are still, you know, able to, you know, thrive in an environment that they were meant to be cut down in.
Yeah. It is still a slap in the face, though.
Yeah.
About our 45th president and his thoughts and views and opinion on the situation and the role that he played in it, and not even wanting to own up to it. That's the part that's still a slap in the face and very disgusting.
I mean,
yeah. Anyways,
who are his peeps? Like, show me your friends.
Tell you who you are.
Anyway.
By the way, she has about 15 to 20 books, all on murder mystery. So this woman's mind, to me, was very convoluted. It was very warped and twisted. So she liked to make up stories, in my opinion. Like I said, we need to find out every case that she has dealt with, and reopen them. Seriously. Think about it, people.
Anyway, guys, come back next week, either Wednesday or Thursday, for another video. And thanks for sticking with us. Hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe, hit the bell, and we will see you. That is my best friend, Shenielle.
And y'all know, this is my best friend, Shenielle.
I got it. I want it. I got it.